Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Budget Gaming HD, formerly known as Budget Tech. In today's episode, I'll be covering a few tips and tricks on how to upgrade your computer, or actually what to look for. I'm going to use a couple of websites and then show you what I use as a reference. In today's episode, I won't be covering big words like gigahertz, frequency, clock speeds, cache latency, cache memory, RAM, megahertz, none of that. It's just simple, straightforward. What you see is what you get. And it's going to be easy. Welcome to this very quick tutorial or tips and tricks on what to look out for when you're buying your next computer, or actually wanting to upgrade, or if you want to actually start building your own rig. This is going to be extremely a quick overview, and I'm going to show you guys what I use and how I look for parts. Now the first part, which is probably the most important one, and a lot of people argue with me, is your power supply. So I would just head over straight to overclockers, as they've got a very good competitive price range. And I know they're reliable. So I'm looking for a 650 watt power supply, right? Now I want to navigate to the fourth page. I think that would be the cheapest ones. Maybe not, maybe the fifth page. And then we see here is a Seasonic BC 650 watt 80 plus bronze power supply, which is not bad. That's not a bad price. You could probably find one on eBay for about £5 to £6 cheaper, but then you never know if it will actually get to your doorstep. Now, a lot of guys might ask, why a 650 watt power supply? I would say that's the standard. If you're ever asking power supply wattage, always go 650 and above. A lot of people might say, yes, 550 would be enough, but now you want to look into buying a RTX 3070, a 6700 XT in the near future, and then you have to replace your power supply anyway. Now, the second thing to look out for is obviously a CPU. Now, to compare a CPU, I would take something in a reference. We all know the 8700K, the 7800X, the 7700K, the 9900K, the 3900X, the 3700X, the 5950X, the 5800X. These are all big CPU names that everyone has grown accustomed to, right? So let's just take the 9900K, which was a very good CPU, and we just type in benchmark. You'll see the benchmark is at 18,767. Let's do a 8700K just as a reference. As you guys can see, I use Passmark, and it's normally one of my top results. This is around 14,000 points. Now that you have your reference CPU, let's take the 9900K in reference. You're looking for a score of above 20,000. Now, once you have this score in mind, you know exactly what to look for, because we can literally go to our high-end CPU and just scroll down to 20,000 points. Now you can see here we've got an option between a 10900E, a i5 12500. Here is just a standard 10900 i9. Here is a i5 11600K, 11600KF, a Ryzen 5 5600G. That's even a proper CPU, good value for money, and so on and so forth. Now, let's say you want to really upgrade. You really want to kick this into top gear. You want to go for a 50% upgrade, 30,000 points. So now let's go up to the 30,000 points. Then we see we've got an AMD Ryzen 9 3900, and the 3900X should be around 33,000. There it is. Very good CPUs. There's the i7 12700K. So you can start off getting an idea of what to look for. Okay, let's jump into the graphics cards. Let's say you're currently running a RX 580, and we type in benchmark. Okay, now that we have our reference, the RX 580 is sitting at 8,891 points. The GTX 1060 is sitting at 10,000 points. So now that you have a reference in mind, you can literally go back to, let's say, video card benchmark. We click on high end, and we have our scores in mind. So let's say our scores are 10,000. We're looking to upgrade to something with a bit more oomph, but value for money. A 1660 Super might not cut it. That's only at 2,692 points. A 1070 Ti, that's starting to look better, 14,378. A RX 6600 XT. Now that is what I'm talking about. That seems like a significant upgrade, especially for the price. And I know these cards. There's a RTX 2060 Super, which is around 16,440. There's the 2070 Super. you guys can sort of get the idea. But let's say you want to upgrade to a 6600 XT, which is a fantastic card. So you're looking at around a 50 to 60% upgrade. Now, the next big question is, when people are looking at motherboards, they never know what to buy. That is a very simple way to explain what to look in a motherboard. You want at least one PCI Express slot. You want at least 16 PCI lanes. You want at least, I would say, 4 RAM slots in my personal opinion, but it depends on your budget. You want at least one NVMe slot. You want a decent sized bridge where your cooler can fit. So let's just go down to the results. Let's see what they have for a bit cheaper here, and then I can show you what to look out for on a motherboard. I can already see there's a Z490G gaming Wi-Fi. That's probably a micro ATX, but it is a micro ATX board. I would definitely choose the TUF X570 over that one by far. The B series isn't bad. I'm currently running a B470 with a Ryzen 3900X, and I'm very, very happy. Let's take this ROG Strix for $169.90. It's not a bad price, and it's a good looking motherboard. As you can see here, you've got a lot of space for your AIO, if you want to go AIO, or if you want to go air cooler. It's got a nice heatsink for your VRMs. It's got 4 RAM slots like I like. It's got a couple of SATAs. The only thing that I can see, it doesn't have an NVMe slot. Now that might be a problem for some. For me, I would just pop in a SATA PCI Express 1.0 card with a SATA SSD. Now let's talk about RAM. I'm going to be safe. I'm going to stick to a 3200 megahertz RAM kit. This is just the first thing that came to mind. 2 sleek RAMs, extreme 16 gigabyte. You guys can sort of see where I'm leaning towards of upgrading your computer. And on the topic of RAM, keep in mind when you're buying RAM to always look at what your motherboard and CPU can support. Yes, you can exceed these speeds, but you want to keep it as close as what you can. So when you're looking for a cooler and you want to go air cooler, remember always to keep in mind that your TDP needs to be under 100 watts unless you want to spend between 50 to 70 pounds on a cooler. Now for between 50 and 70 pounds, you can cool a 100 to 150 TDP CPU fairly with spending 50 to 70 pounds on an AIO. So let's just see what they have. You can already see here for 65 pounds, you can find a 360 millimeter radiator. Now bigger radiator doesn't mean more cooling, but I would honestly recommend buying a water cooler or liquid cooling system, an AIO, for something that's above 100 TDP. Now, a lot of people might say, no, this is not true. You can buy fantastic air coolers, and yes, you can. You can buy like a Noctua or a Cooler Master. But the problem is, when you're starting to look at these high TDPs, you're looking at very expensive coolers. You're looking at something between 80 to 100 pounds at least that you'll need to spend. Where if you're looking at an AIO, value for money, you get a 360 millimeter radiator with a nice copper block, and this is only at $65.99.
So there you go, guys. I hope this tips and tricks has assisted you in making your next upgrade choice. Please let me know in the comment section below if this has helped you. Remember to give it a thumbs up if you liked it, a thumbs down if you didn't, although nowadays you can't see who gives it a thumbs down. But anyways, pop that dislike if you didn't like it. If you've not done so already, please remember to subscribe to my channel to see future content, and remember to hit that bell to stay notified on all my latest content. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you soon.